Hey guys, this is RolloutReviews with RolloutReviews, bringing you another Bionicle review. This time it is set number 8568, Pohatu Nuva. This set was released in 2002 and contains 40 pieces. Just like Onua, Pohatu Nuva has a very different feel aesthetically from the original Pohatu. The original is very thin and lanky, and the Nuva armor and larger mask go a long way in making Pohatu Nuva look much more bulky and filled out. But personally, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. The original Pohatu is slim and light and lean and fast-looking, and Pohatu Nuva is lacking a lot of that. His construction, like the original, is the most unique out of the 6 Toa Nuva. Starting from the bottom up, he has the toe extensions, just like he had before, but this time they're molded in silver to match the Nuva armor, and they look very cool. He's got the new leg pieces here, but they're attached to the torso via these connectors in the sideways orientation. Pohatu already had the broadest hips of the 6 Toa, and personally I think this kind of makes him look ridiculous. His torso is once again flipped around, but the Nuva armor here has also been flipped around so that it's right side up. I think there's some contradictory shapes going on here, but maybe it's just me. The way his neck attaches is different from before, and honestly, it's so much more simple that I don't know why they didn't do this in the first place. Basically, all it is one of these pieces slid in there and locked in place with the axle that attaches the arms. It's a lot more solid than before. The arms attach in the same way as they did before, but instead of the ball accents, he has Nuva armor there. The arms are the same piece, but this time they have some pins sticking out of them, similar to the way he had pins sticking out of his legs before. These will come into play with his dual weapon functionality. His tools are these climbing claws, sort of extensions of his hands, honestly. They have a little bit of malleability here, so you can pinch down on things, and despite their simple design, they definitely add a lot to the way this guy looks. Pohatu now wears the great Kanoe Kakama Nuva. This allows its user to travel at much faster speeds than before, even to the point where they can travel so fast they pass through solid objects. I don't even think that's physically possible, but whatever. It also allows the user to borrow this power to nearby Toa allies. This looks much different than the original Kakama, but 6 Toa Nuva in, I've sort of come to expect that. I do find it interesting, however, that it's just so much larger than the original. It went from being one of the smallest of the 6 masks to one of the largest. I also find it kind of funny that just because of how Pohatu is built with his hips and the way his head attaches, he's shorter than the original Pohatu. The only reason he has some edge on the original in height is because of how much larger and taller his mask is. This is funny because all of the other Toa Nuva are a considerable amount taller than their original counterparts, even without their masks. Before we show off his gear function, we're actually going to take a look at his dual weapon functionality first, because the two go hand in hand. Pohatu is a little bit backwards. All of the other Toa Nuva have default weapons that they can then convert into a mode of transportation. You could almost consider Pohatu's claws as the mode of transportation. He uses them to scale cliffs. To get to the alternate, of course you're going to remove them here, but you're also going to remove these pins in his arms and then use those to connect the two claws together. This will create an analog of the boulder that Pohatu originally came with. It's sort of a proto-steel ball that he can kick. His gear function is more or less the same as all of the other Toa Nuva. He has an extra gear up here that locks everything in place. This is especially useful on Pohatu because it means he can stand a lot better. This leg here is locked into place, similar to how it was with the original Pohatu. Now, if you'd like to move this at the hip here for any reason, you can slide this gear forward, move it to the place you want it, and then slide this back to lock it in that position. If you'd like to activate the gear function entirely, just leave this slid forward, and you can swing his leg forward and back as if he is kicking, specifically kicking the proto-steel ball here. Just like that. Now you can give Pohatu a dual gear function. To do that, all you need to do is pull this leg off here and remove this piece that locks it in place. From there, you can take this gear and replace that with this piece just to keep that stored. This goes in there, and then you can replace the leg. Now Pohatu can swing both of his legs as if he is running, and honestly, this is a lot more fun than I remember it being. Just like with all of the other Toa Nuva, I found a way for Pohatu to store his climbing claws on his person without the use of any extraneous pieces. Basically, what you're going to do is take the two climbing claws and connect them together, but not in the way you would be forming the ball. Instead, you're going to put them one on top of the other, like this. From there, you'll take these and sort of put them in between this gear and the torso, like that. It is still possible to activate the gear function with these there, but they do kind of get in the way. Admittedly, this is one of the weaker methods of storing the Nuva tools. That said, he wouldn't really need to store them anyway. In a lot of the animations and art, he is shown using these as extensions of his hands, as claws to pick things up. Even though in the Mask of Light movie, they were shown explicitly as tools. But this guy looks nothing like he did in Mask of Light anyway. Once again, I feel that all of the Toa Nuva are much better than their original counterparts as sets, just because of the added features and play value. Pohatu is also a much more solidly constructed set than his original. That said, as far as aesthetics go, I can't help but think whatever it was I really liked about the original Pohatu design is lacking here, if not forgotten. And unfortunately, Pohatu goes from being my second favorite design of the original Toa to probably my least favorite design of the Toa Nuva. So that is about it, guys, and this is IX Roll at IX, signing off.